Alright guys, Raw Wrestler here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the August 9th edition of Friday Night Smackdown. Daniel Bryan's shirt today because he's on Smackdown, obviously. I'm going to have to try and keep the trend up of having the appropriate superstar shirt on when I review a video. It's going to be very tough for NXT because I've only got two, but we'll see how far we go. So, Raw, obviously, the night before Smackdown wasn't particularly great. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10 overall. In the end, I'd say Smackdown was slightly better, and I'll explain why more at the end. But let's get off straight away into it. I do have to actually apologise. I didn't mention when I was reviewing Smackdown last week that the show ended with Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan laying out Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose, which means that the Wyatt family are reunited on SmackDown. That's a good thing. Rowan would be doing nothing else, so it's great to put him with Bray Wyatt and give Wyatt a little bit more power as a big heel on the brand. I'm really looking forward to that. So the show kicked off with Randy Orton backstage with wait, what? Oh yeah, he was backstage. I have no idea what he was doing. I can't remember. Oh, he was talking to Daniel Bryan and Shane. Eventually, he was confronted by Del Rio, and that matchup was set up for later on in the night. That actually really excited me because the last time I saw Randy Orton and Alberto Del Rio, it was Hell in a Cell 2012, and they had a really great match on pay-per-view, like a 3 3/4 star match. So I was looking forward to that matchup later on this show. The show actually kicked off in the ring with a Bray Wyatt promo. He came out with Eric Rowan. He talked about how last week he was cheated out of his victory by Dolph Ziggler. All makes sense. The heel makes sense. That's not weird. That's kind of weird. Eventually, Dean Ambrose would come out and try and get his revenge, but then Dolph Ziggler would come out. They would both rush the ring. The Wyatts would... Dean would drop Eric Rowan over the ropes. Bray grabbed him for his sister Abigail. Dolph went to superkick Bray Wyatt and then caught Dean Ambrose with it, and then Bray, sister Abigail, Dolph Ziggler. So the faces are laid out in the opening segment again by Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan, which I really like. But that match would then be set up as the main event: Eric Rowan and Bray Wyatt taking on Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose. Good segment. I really liked it. I felt like this is putting Bray Wyatt over quite a bit, regardless of if he lost the main event, which I kind of felt like he would. Then we had Ziggler and Ambrose backstage, basically arguing. Ambrose is saying, "You hit me in the face, I'm going to get you back for that," basically, which he did at the end of the night. And then Shane and Bryan come up and say to Dolph, "Well, tonight it's going to be you two against the Wyatts, and if you don't like that, what did you say last week, Dolph? Screw you," which was a nice little... because you want to create at least some animosity and tension when a superstar is out of line against a GM or a commissioner. So Daniel Bryan saying that to Dolph Ziggler was very, very good, and it felt natural as well, and it made sense. So that was really, really good stuff. We had the American Alpha come out, and they faced some random jobbers, Mikey O'Shea and Mike something. I'm really, really sorry, I forgot his name. But what would happen is all the other tag teams on the brand would come out except the Usos. So you had the Ascension, the Hype Bros, and the Vaudevillains. There was no Breezango and there was no Usos. They were the two that were missing. I imagine this will be your tag division with obviously Breezango and the Usos. They all came out to watch the American Alpha destroy these jobbers. They beat them with Grand Amplitude, and then all the teams rushed the ring and they all fought each other. In the end, American Alpha came out on top and cleared the ring of everyone. So it's a nice tag division. I like the Ascension, obviously. I like them in NXT. They've been kind of killed over the last 2 years, though. The Hype Bros I'm fine with. I have a shirt. I just don't like Mojo Rawley. Vaudevillains I really, really like, and the Ascension I am in love with. So it's a cool tag division. Breezango I can get to like, I think. And the Usos have really been great workers anyway. So I've never had a problem with them. So it's a cool tag division. Rawls is probably a little bit stronger, but we'll see where it goes. I imagine they might do a 4-team match at SummerSlam on the pre-show with those 4 teams there and have American Alpha go over, which was not what one of my predictions is in my how I would book SummerSlam video, which I'm still writing up. I apologise. It's taking quite a while because I have to rethink a lot of it, and because matches have been booked on Raw and SmackDown, I have to change things accordingly. So, hey-ho, I'll try and get it up. It's going to be tough, though. So yeah, then we had we had Miz and Maurice with Renee Young on the talk panel, I guess. And basically, Renee Young was asking, what do you think of Apollo Crews? Miz and Maurice were just enamoured with each other. They were lying on the table together. It genuinely looked like they were going to have sex on the table. I don't blame the guy, but not the right place for it. It was a cool segment, and Miz and Maurice have such a star power to these segments now, and they really work together. They have so much chemistry, which they should. They're married. And it was just cool little segment. It does show how much Miz is kind of overlooking Apollo Crews, which at least will make his victory at SummerSlam, if he does win, even more shocking, which is really, really cool. So they are building to that well. There was no Apollo Crews on this show, which kind of baffled me. But hey-ho. So I actually kind of enjoyed that segment. Then we had Becky Lynch take on Eve Marie, Eva's spectacular debut, and of course last week she didn't perform because she injured her thigh. Now this storyline I thought was actually kind of cool because it allows Eva to not be in the ring and not kind of make herself look really, really bad in front of an audience, but also allows her to have a character and kind of a storyline behind her. This week she had a wardrobe malfunction. Her top basically came undone and she had to hold it up. And yeah, that happened. The referee called no contest and said Eve Marie can no longer compete due to a wardrobe malfunction. I've never heard that one before. I've seen plenty of women have more wardrobe malfunctions and still continue their matches. But yeah, weird. Eve Marie goes backstage. Becky Lynch complains in the ring, saying, I came out here to fight, send someone out, and I was hoping Alexa Bliss would come out, and she did. Alexa Bliss comes out, her 25th birthday. Basically, if it's your birthday in wrestling, you're probably going to win. That's what I've learned in this past few weeks with Ziggler and Balor and Alexa Bliss here. Alexa comes out, and in the end, she beats Becky Lynch with the Twisted Bliss off the top rope, the former Sparkle Splash. Eve Marie does come out towards the end of the segment and distract Becky Lynch to make it easier for Alexa Bliss to hit the Twisted Bliss, though. So it seems to me like they are positioning Eve Marie and Becky Lynch as the top feud on the brand, which does make sense considering Eva hasn't won a match on the brand and Becky Lynch has just lost a match on the brand. It seems like Alexa Bliss should maybe push a little bit more towards the top of the brand. I guess the issue with this women's division, and there's a couple, to be honest, there's only 6 of them for a start, and Eve Marie's one of them, and Carmella's not the greatest worker still. I still like her, but she's still not the greatest worker. One of them is definitely the fact that Natalya beat Becky at Battleground, and then Becky beat Natalya, and Natalya loses on this show, and then Becky lost on this show, and she won last week, well, the week before. So nobody's looking better than anyone else. So it shows that there's competition, but there's no breakout stars there outside of Eva Marie not having a match. And Naomi hasn't been on the show for 2 weeks now, which is shocking because she's probably the most athletic talent they've got. So I'd really be using her a little bit more. But anyway, this Eva Marie storyline I kind of like, to be honest, because it prohibits her from being in the ring, and it gives her a little bit of character. And Eva Marie, honestly, is starting to build quite an impressive... she has great facial... she has great facial expressions, is what I meant to say there. Because, of course, she's got great facials. But she has great facial expressions, and I know that they are going to push Eva Marie to the moon because of who she is and what she looks like. But, and I know that we don't want it, but... Anyway, I should probably move on. There's a lot to really talk about there. I gave the match between Becky and Alexa 2.25 stars. I thought it was fine. Then we had Randy Orton versus Del Rio. This was a good match. Really good stuff here. Del Rio and Orton are great. And Orton dominated the early portion, and then there was a big superplex, and Del Rio started to attack the shoulder of Orton. It's always nice to see Randy Orton's shoulders attacked, because I see it in every single match he's ever in. I worry for this guy when he faces Brock Lesnar. And in the end, Del Rio got himself disqualified with a chair shot, and then he went to hit Orton with a chair in the ring, and Orton hit him with an RKO. So a good match. I gave it 3 stars. I could have given it 3.25 if the finish hadn't been so meh, but Orton looked good coming out of this anyway. And Orton's had a match on every show so far. Naomi hasn't had a single match. Mojo Rawley had it's weird to see a guy like Orton have a match on every show, but then Ambrose had his first Smackdown match on this show, so a bit weird. Cena hasn't had a match on this. Oh, he was in the 6-pack challenge, wasn't he? Anyway, I gave the match 3 stars. I could have given it 3 1/4 if the finish hadn't been a DQ. Moving on, we had the Rhino and Heath Slater backstage, and my immediate thought after watching this segment was that was the most pointless wrestling segment I've ever seen in my entire life. Rhino and Heath Slater. Rhino talks about being winning the Michigan primary, which is a real thing. Heath Slater talks about how he needs to feed his family and he needs to pay for a swimming pool, and that Rhino asks, is it an underground pool or an overground pool? And Slater goes, above ground. And Rhino's like, right, yeah. Just pointless. A really pointless segment. I had no interest in this whatsoever. And that led into... oh no, we had a break, and then Miz there was an earlier tonight, and it was Miz with Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo to death, so this was just great. Miz gets locked in the mystery machine by Scooby-Doo, and Scooby-Doo steals his car. I'm sorry, but a man in a Scooby costume, it will always be funny to me. So, especially when his nose is bigger than Miz's face. And then we had Slater against Rhino. I'm not going to rate this because it wasn't particularly long. And I mean, it was longer than the Alexa Bliss match, but there was nothing really to it. Rhino won with a gore, and that was the story here. Slater was then backstage and complained to Daniel Bryan, saying, I'm the top free agent, I should be signed. And when he leaves the room, Daniel Bryan and Shane go, oh, well, he must not want this contract that we have for him then. It's just, yeah, cool. Heath Slater he's been quite good in this role, to be honest, as a free agent. I hope he doesn't do it every single week, because that's kind of what he's been doing. But he should be, used fairly scarcely. Just come up every now and then, maybe put someone over. But, they just seem to be using him every week. Then we had Carmella against Natalia, which we were going to have last week. I thought this was fine. Natalia made this match. Natalia is so great. She's probably the best technical woman on this brand. In this company at the moment. She is so great as a heel. She's so great. And Carmelo heel was just there, basically. In the end, Natalia, I totally missed this. Natalia must have... Carmella countered the sharpshooter into their figure 4 head scissor. I have no idea how that happened, because I was looking away for a second and then it just happened. Carmella wins. She wins on a debut. Alexa wins on a debut. That's one of my favourite things. The 2 NXT women won on the debut. They beat Natalia and Becky Lynch, the 2 big women on the brand. But I do still think the division's a little bit disjointed because there's no push woman at the moment outside of Eva Marie, which that could be planned, I guess, if they're pushing Eva and no one else. But 2 stars, mostly because Natalia was great. Then we had the Cena and Styles were not on this show. They were both working, I believe, in Australia or New Zealand. So they did a preview of their match at SummerSlam, and this was great. I love everything to do with this feud. This feud's been probably my favourite feud of the year, and Cena and Styles have been so great in it. My one criticism of this preview was that they basically neglected the 6-man Battleground, which I have no idea why. I guess it's because it was a 6-man and not a 1-on-1. But I loved this preview. It was very, very, very entertaining. And then we had the main event: Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose taking on Eric Rowan and Bray Wyatt. Luke Harper's not back from injury yet, sadly. This was, I think, in the end I gave this 2 3/4 stars, and that is counting the aftermath, because I thought the aftermath of this match was great. The matchup basically was pretty good. Well, it was fine. The aftermath really helped it for me. In the end, Dolph Ziggler pins Eric Rowan with a super kick after Ambrose misses a suicide dive on Bray Wyatt outside the ring. But the aftermath of this matchup I thought was so great, because earlier in the night, of course, Dolph Ziggler had superkicked Dean Ambrose, so Ambrose said he wanted revenge. But in this main event, he never went for that revenge. I felt like at one point Ambrose might just leave Ziggler and let him get pinned, and that was my original thought on how the match would end. But towards the end, I started to just say, well, we're just going to have the number 1 contender and the world champ go over. That makes more sense. But after this matchup, they totally did it well, because Ambrose gets in the ring and he does nothing to Ziggler to bring him over and say well done. Ziggler comes up to him and patting him on the shoulder well done, we won. And Ambrose is just on the floor you're not patronising me. So he gets up, Dirty Deeds him and leaves the ring. Really good ending. I really liked that ending. I think Ambrose is not the character who needs friends anymore. He's the guy on Smackdown. He doesn't need help. and that's exactly how it should be, and he should not be patronised by anyone. He's the world champion. The matchup, 2 3/4 stars, pardon me. Wasn't as good as the Del Rio Orton match earlier on, but it was still a good way to end the show. And my final rating for this episode of SmackDown is going to be a 6.5 out of 10, which is a little bit higher than Raw, and the only reason I've gone 0.5 is so it's clearly higher than Raw. I enjoyed both women's matches on this show more than the Dana-Sasha match, which obviously, I mean, the women on SmackDown got probably 10 minutes time, the women on Raw got 3, so there's a big issue there. Definitely need to sort out how much time the women are getting, especially when you've got so many on your brand. I enjoyed the Del Rio Orton match probably more than anything on Raw, and that's saying quite a bit because I did like the Rusev-Cesaro match and the Cesaro-Sheamus match. And I enjoyed most of the talking segments on this show, but obviously a 6.5 means I didn't like everything so much, where you should go out of your way and watch it. So I believe that is 2-1 to SmackDown, which is kind of shocking because they have the weaker roster. I do want to also say that during the show there was a point where Baron Corbin attacked Kalisto backstage and blamed him for costing him the Intercontinental title. So that was SmackDown Live. Thanks for watching, guys. Tell me your thoughts. What did you think of SmackDown Live? What did you think to the women's division of SmackDown Live? What did you think to the Eve Marie wardrobe malfunction? Do you think matches should be ended via wardrobe malfunction? And what do you think to the Ziggler-Ambrose build? I think it's going great. I'm really looking forward to the main event of SmackDown for SummerSlam, and I'm looking forward to Styles, Cena as well. One of my big criticisms of this show, actually, is that there was no other matches booked for SummerSlam. It seemed like they might be doing a 4-way between the teams, or maybe a women's match. My thought is they might have Eva against Becky Lynch at SummerSlam, because they said that next week Eva will debut. If she debuts against Becky again, then they'll just do the match at SummerSlam, which is not going to be good. Eva Marie should not be on pay-per-view. She just shouldn't. I mean, I actually watched a good Eva Marie match in NXT with Asuka, but it's hard to carry Eva Marie. Very hard, so... anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Russell. I'll be back tomorrow with my Cruiserweight Classic and NXT review. I'm looking forward to those. I'm looking forward to the Bayley Asuka contract signing. I'm looking forward to to Cedric Alexander take on Kota Ibushi, and I'm looking forward to Grand Metalik against Tajiri. Thanks for watching. This has been Raw Russell. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.